Good afternoon. While you are finding your seats, we're about to start our luncheon. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to ENC 2023. We've traditionally had somewhere between 300 and 400 participants. We're at about 360. This room holds like 240. So y'all might need to share your seat in a minute or eat fast. I'm real excited about you all being here for lunch. We've got a great lineup for lunch today. Before I get too much further into it, someone left their silver iPhone in the Callaway room. So if y'all don't have your phone, I got it, and there's a fee to get it back. Because y'all know I'm trying to get this legacy fund funded that I talked about this morning. I'm trying to raise $1 million, and that iPhone is going to be about 900 of it. I mentioned you all this morning, for those of you who weren't here, that the Institute is launching a legacy fund, which is our quasi-endowment. Y'all, we have got to get to preserving minority-led institutions. I asked you all this morning, how important is the Institute to you? Now, many of y'all in here are business owners that have received technical assistance and capacity building services from our women's business centers. Many of you have gotten retool money, some of that $21 million that we gave away over the last couple years. Many of you have gotten loans from us. Many of you were connecting to corporations. Should I go on? And so when we talk about how we preserve this organization, the way we're going to do it is not by begging. We're way past that. This is about a business proposition. The Institute is here to serve your interest. And so you got to preserve and protect your interest. And so what you all are going to see are, we've got different paraphernalia that's going to be passed out about the legacy fund. But I need you all to really do some soul searching and think about what this means to you and how you help us preserve the Institute. And so let me move on, because I can talk about this all day and the team will be mad at me. I do want to do a couple housekeeping things real quick. Y'all, we are really still in a pandemic. We really are. So to the extent that you don't necessarily shake hands and hug each other, it's okay. Y'all heard me? It's okay. You don't have to do that. If you want to wear your mask, that's great. I'm okay with that too. But protect yourselves. As I said this morning, health is wealth. So I need you all to be healthy so we can preserve the wealth that we are building in our community. Please be sure and use your the CVent app. Are y'all tweeting out? LinkedIn out? Facebook out? Instagram out? What else? Am I missing something? What's our hashtag? That's it. Use that. Let your friends know and your colleagues know they're missing something. If you believe that, let them know they're missing something. We still have room. Now, I'm fortunate this afternoon that I don't have to talk anymore. I can just eat lunch because Roberta is going to be our mistress of ceremonies and introduce all of those who are here and make sure we run on time. So I'd like to introduce, I call her the money lady because she runs Institute Capital, Roberta McCullough.
right, good afternoon. I tell you all what, I am happy to see so many familiar faces and also to see some new ones. This is a good-looking room. So, you all look good. I'm so glad you all are here. Is everyone having a good time so far? Good. Are you feeling educated, informed? So we do. We work hard, play hard. So right now we're working. We got work to do. But I did want to, without hesitating, because we have a packed agenda, I do want to bring up our first person that's going to give us welcomes for this hour. It is none other than the mayor of Pinehurst, who I just met, but I let him know immediately that his town has treated us so very well every time that we come. They're so gracious, and I'm very glad that we are here. So I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to bring up Mayor John Strickland so he can share some welcomes with you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Pinehurst. As the mayor, it's an honor and a privilege to welcome you here as you investigate key areas of economic development opportunities for minorities and women, including venture capital, alternative financing, and affordable housing. This year's conference has the theme, Business Capital Reimagined. I would like to briefly tell you some key things about Pinehurst that you may not know and how reimagining created Pinehurst as we know it today. The village was founded in 1895 by members of the Tufts family from Massachusetts. The family had developed expertise in the soda fountain business. They reimagined what could be done with a portion of their wealth and invested in land here in the Sandhills of North Carolina for development of a health resort using the mineral springs that were in this area. But the land was barren, as photographs along the hallways of this hotel will confirm. The longleaf pine forest had been decimated by the turpentine and shipbuilding industries. But that did not deter Tufts from hiring world-renowned landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted to plan and lay out the village of Pinehurst. Together, the Tufts and the Olmsteds reimagined what the barren land could become. That plan, using curvilinear streets and the architecture of a New England town, remains in place for the core retail and residential area which the hotel is a part of. In 1996, the large area of Olmsted's plan was designated a National Historic Landmark by the U.S. Secretary of the Interior, one of the largest landmarks in the United States. When the health business that Pinehurst was set up to do began to fade due to concerns about contagious diseases, it was noted that some resort guests were hitting a small white ball around local cow pastures. The game of golf was growing across America in the early 1900s and was introduced to Pinehurst by those guests. The Tufts reimagined what Pinehurst could be. Mr. Donald Ross, a Scottish golf professional, club maker, and to become a world-renowned golf course architect, was hired by the Tufts to reimagine Pinehurst as a premier golf resort, which it has become. Emphasis was also placed on creating a premier training facility for the harness horse racing industry, as you will see from the track and numerous barns which surround golf course number 1. And finally, in 2021, the United States Golf Association reimagined what it needed to do to bring its golf club, ball, and testing facilities up to date. They're currently in New Jersey. The solution was to create a second headquarters here in Pinehurst to be named Golf House Pinehurst. That campus will shortly be completed up near the golf course, as some of you may have noted. And in that will be the testing facility for golf clubs and golf balls, the agronomy unit, which is bringing research and development of grasses and water usage to the state of North Carolina, and other functions, including museum. And next year, in 2024, the U.S. Men's Golf Open will be back here in Pinehurst as well. So these reimagining events over time have created the hotel and all the things that go around us here in the village of Pinehurst. And it seemed to me that a little knowledge of that will be helpful to you as you spend your time here trying to reimagine and think of things that will meet the needs of your organization and your friends over time. So thank you for your attention. I wish you well in your reimagining during the course of the week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mayor. You know, I should have said this first, that the Institute's ENC has been coming here for probably 30 years with probably a 6-year hiatus. So this is not new to this area. And so there has been a long-lasting partnership with Pinehurst and the Institute. So next, we will hear from someone else who I've met recently that is a great partner in the SBA world. And he is going to come up and talk for about 5 minutes. Alan Thomas is a regional administrator for the U.S. Small Business Administration. He is amazing. I love his energy. We had a great time in Charlotte a few months back. And so, Alan, if you will come up and join me on the podium, and you will have the floor. How are you? Good to see you. Oh, we just hugged. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, y'all. You already broke COVID protocol already. I don't know about y'all. I hug. Y'all just have to deal with that. I fist bump for as long as I could do it. All right, Kev? But I respect everybody. So if you got to keep your distance, give me a wave. But will say I'm open to hugs. So great to be here. Berta, let me tell you, I look around this room and I see a lot of family. I see a lot of familiar people that in my community, I'm originally from North Carolina. In my role, the office is out of Atlanta, but they can't keep me in Atlanta. I'm spread out from Kentucky to Tennessee to the Mississippi River to all across the Alabama, the Carolinas, down into Florida. There is a lot going on in the Southeast United States. And I am proud to do our part with SBA. Where can we bring the training? Where can we bring the resources to make that difference? And Mr. Mayor, I give you a shout out. I was a 3-term mayor in Greenville, North Carolina. So I feel you. The one thing I tell everybody about being a mayor, I can't say it too much now, but it's not like the federal government. We can't print money. We got to create partnerships and coalitions. How can we stretch and share that dollar? Who knows about that? We all know about that. And most importantly, I come from private industry. People in these administrator roles with SBA, I'm a White House appointee, and I want to give greetings on behalf of President Biden and Vice President Harris, and Administrator Isabel Guzman, who is our Cabinet Secretary with SBA. But we come from the private sector. We are put in charge of these regions to create a sense of urgency around business innovation and opportunity. They asked me back in 2021 when the administrations flipped that I want to start the following year. I said, I'll start next week because we've got a lot to do. We were still in the throes of pandemic. When the pandemic hit, I was the one asking for a PPP loan. I was the vice president of an executive jet company, Fly Exclusive, that ran out of Kinston, North Carolina. It's like the 4th biggest private jet company in the nation now. We had 480 employees. I call them 480 family members who did not know, as y'all remember, what the next week would behold, did we? We had no idea. But it was a great, warming reintroduction to SBA and our resource partners in the banking space and the Treasury about how to get something done. 35 million businesses across this country got something done. That wasn't good enough. We know a lot of people were left behind in that process. But in the meantime, a lot of people were lifted up. So we all know, what do you do? SBA is one of the smallest, biggest agencies, I'll say. We're the gatekeeper for trillions in resources. but it's probably the smallest number of FTEs probably in the entire country in terms of a federal agency. We are the gatekeeper with all the banks. We're the gatekeeper with so many wonderful partners across the country. How many of you are aware of the SBDCs, the Small Business Development Centers? Raise your hands. There you go. I love it. Look at this room. When I launched my company, IQ Max, a wonderful college friend of mine came to me. We started a side hustle. You know how that is, right? So 3 or 4 of us started that side hustle. My commute was really short. It was through my extra bedroom, right, in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we didn't know what we were doing. We knew we had some good technology. We had some good ideas. We had some good IP. We took an idea on a napkin and we went to the SBDC and said, how do we turn this into, structure this into something we can do? And the rest was history. From that extra bedroom, the first client, Blue Ridge Bone and Joint, never forget it, in Asheville, we launched a healthcare software company, and we learned a lot of lessons. We failed a lot, but we succeeded a lot too. We ended up in 130 medical facilities in 36 states, right out of North Carolina. Y'all, we can do this, and we can do this together. I'm here to talk to you. SBA is not a noun, it's a verb, right? So is the Institute. It's not a noun, person, place, or thing, it's a verb. And we're here to create action and opportunity together. Look around this room. The people you see are your business partners. They're the people you're going to do business with and succeed. Having 30 plus years of this here at Pinehurst, there's so many generational memories here together. But understand this too, we're always working against the tide. So how many of you are familiar with the 8A contracting program in SBA? All right? We all know recently there was a court ruling in the Eastern District of Tennessee and the federal side, but SBA is not deterred. We know that the role of the 8A program around government contracting is to create generational wealth and opportunity for people of black and brown color and those that didn't have opportunity that deserve that. And we're proud to say we're to continue to grow and work and improve that program and create that growth that we know that's across the board. If you don't know about 8A, look it up. Google it. It's incredible. It's a 9-year program that SBA runs. If you're accepted into the program, you can get sole source government contracting and opportunities. Understand those things are there. So with SBA, what do? We put you in contact with government contracting opportunities and provide training with all of our wonderful partners. We provide access for you for lending. We did $8 billion of lending just in my region alone last year in traditional lending. So guys, let's do this thing together. If I can ever help you on behalf of SBA, here's my email address. Write it down. And right in there, I met you at the ENC conference. But it's Allen.Thomas, which is ALLEN, Allen.Thomas@SBA.gov. When I come back next year and the following year, I want you to tell me about these great stories where you've reached out to us. We're in every state across the union. We're in your community. We'll get you access to capital just like my story came true. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. You can do it, and the partners that will help you do it are right around you. There's so much more I'd love to tell you about SBA. We just launched a national initiative with the D9 and the NPHC. Chris Ray, who's the president of Phi Beta Sigma, was a fellow mayor. So we're so excited about that program across the entire nation. Stay tuned on that one. That's something I'm very excited to help lead nationally. So on behalf of SBA, again, Allen Thomas, if I can ever help you in any way, let me know. Look forward to seeing you here over the next day or so. Thank you.
Y'all do good. You did great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alan. You know, his energy is just infectious. Everything that he's saying, he is serious about. You know, he gave out his cell phone number in Charlotte. He gave your email. Use it. That's indeed. So I know I'm standing between you and lunch. So we're going to have Jeff, if you would join me at the podium. We're going to bless the food, and then we're going to eat.
Good afternoon. Let us say Lord's blessing amongst this food and this gathering. Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for this moment, time, and opportunity Thank you for allowing us to gather safely, coming together, commingling ideas, and just talking commerce, dear Lord, breathing contracts and calling to things to existence. You said the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, so everything is yours. So we ask, dear Lord, that you tap down your power during this conference. Let the great I am come into contracts and agreements today. Now, we just ask that you bless this food that we partake for our physical nourishment of our bodies, dear Lord. May we bless those without in a very special way. Bless those, dear Lord, that don't have anything to eat today, but we thank you, dear Lord, for providing for all of us. In the mighty name of Jesus, we do pray. Amen.
Okay, so I also have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for the lunch hour. This is going to be a treat for many of you all because I think this is a space of funding that is an area that the Institute is venturing into, and that no pun intended, but you'll see why I said that. But our speaker of the hour is none other than Olin Douglas. Now, you all may not know him, but I promise you, you're going to want to get to know him. Now, Olin Douglas is the CEO of Hanover Street Advisors. Prior to starting the consulting business, he was a founding manager of Motley Food Ventures. Ah, yeah, now you're listening, aren't you? And so it was founded in 2018, and he led the growth of this venture capital from nothing to $250 million in 5 years. And that's a lot of money, just so you all know. And prior to that, he served for 14 years as a corporate CFO for the Motley Food Holdings and worked in finance for several years with commercial banks and also served as a KPMG auditor. So the man knows money, just in case you're curious. He currently serves also on the nonprofit board of Young Artists of America as the board president and the Motley Food Foundation as the finance chair. So he's very much still connected to them and supports multiple nonprofit organizations in the Baltimore-Washington metropolitan area. He remains active in venture capital as an advisor and an ecosystem participant. We are very fortunate to have him here, as you can imagine. He is incredibly busy, but we are, again, there's a partnership that we are looking to form with him in the VC world so we can continue to support businesses like yours. So without further ado, again, continue eating, but I'm going to bring up Olin Douglas. And Olin, if you would join me at the podium, I will give you the floor.
Thank you very much for that, Roberta. Second, do this. Okay. And this way. So thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I know we're all enjoying lunch and eating and continue to eat. It's my job to be interesting enough to make you pay attention. Your job. I accept the challenge, and we will go from there. I'm excited to be here. Some great speakers. I just wanted to acknowledge Congressman Fushi, who talked earlier, Secretary Marshall, Roberta McCullough, certainly for inviting me, and also the Institute's CEO, Kevin Price, and the mayor of Pinehurst, of course. So I'm here to kind of talk about venture capital in a little bit more detail and just really give you a little peek inside of it. But before to do that, just to expand upon my background a little bit, just so you know I'm not making this all up. Actually, I am making it all up, but it's kind of come from my experiences, so there's a little bit behind it. Hanover Street Advisors, it advises venture-backed startups, everything from companies with a valuation of a couple of million all the way up to $1 billion. We help them with financial and operational strategy, capital raising, M&A transactions. So as someone who's been in finance for a while, we're using those expertise to help startups grow and reach their full potential. I also advised the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, which was the recipient of $200 million of state small business credit initiatives. So it's SSBCI money, which is to go to supporting startups, I think North Carolina. was awarded a similar amount, and I would imagine that at some point in time, I imagine ENC would be interested in accessing that capital to also help grow the ecosystem. My journey in venture actually started in 2001, really at the height of the internet mania, the first wave of internet mania. I'd like to say that I started that roller coaster ride kind of right at the top, right before the screaming starts, as it kind of goes down, and rode that roller coaster up and down for quite a few years. As Roberta mentioned, started a venture fund inside of the Motley Fool. There's David Gardner. He's one of the CEOs of Motley Fool. Is a graduate of UNC, so definitely have ties to North Carolina. That fund actually ended up being one of the largest black-run firms in the world, which was very exciting and something I was proud of. And then I left. And that's a different story, different time. Still writing the next chapter. The story will be much more interesting when we get there. But let's just say I had a calling. And so we moved on from there. And today, again, when we think about venture capital, we hear what's in the headlines. I get it. It sounds crazy, right? You have these companies barely have a product, no revenue, certainly no profits. And they're just getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. And it's really hard to understand kind of what's going on from the outside looking in. It doesn't run the way businesses work. I think there are 33 million small businesses in the United States. There's varying numbers from 15 to 20,000 venture-backed companies in the United States. So it's just a tiny, tiny fraction. And in that little world, things just operate differently. And so you ask, well, what's the allure of venture capital? Well, if there's one slide that boils it down, it's just this. 7 of the 10 most valuable companies in the world were venture-backed. And when you think about those numbers, it's just incredible to see how much venture can punch above its weight. Since 1995, 75% of the value of the stock market has been from venture-backed companies, which only represent 0.5% of the companies. So this is the definition of go big, go home. Most of these companies, I could take the name off of them and you would still know what they were. You probably wouldn't know NVIDIA and like Meta. You need Facebook, right? So you're talking about coming in with venture capital, people having dreams of changing the world is what they start with. And that is what really drives people to venture capital. What's also exciting about that is that investing in venture capital is also very rewarding. You look at the numbers there, 15 to 27% per year for the best VC funds out there, so that the companies are making money, the people that are investing in them and driving them are also getting rewarded. So to have this mindset where I want to invest in a company that's going to change the world requires another level of risk to be commensurate with that reward. And that is really the risk-reward equation, is what really ultimately defines a lot of the difference in venture capital. It really is go big or go home. And not everyone is suited for that kind of world, but that's what you get in venture. Again, not for everyone. Those 33 million small businesses, as someone mentioned before, a large percentage of those are not, are just single person companies. About 6 million that are employer businesses. I mean, they employ someone else. Of those, you can say 7,000 VC-backed companies right now. About 75% of those VC-backed companies are going to fail. And one thing, I'll do a quick tangent on that idea of failure. Again, in a go big or go home world, failure means you didn't go big enough. Little inside baseball, the Motley Fool, which many of you have heard of, was a venture-backed company working as CEO. I helped them. We took venture capital money, helped us grow, actually worked with the company in my role as CFO. We bought back all of our stock from the venture capital company. Continues to be a very successful very profitable business today. In the venture capital vernacular, that business was a failure because it didn't grow to make the VCs as much money as possible. So when you hear this idea about companies failing, there's a little bit more nuance to that. There's a lot of great work, a lot of great companies that are in this group that didn't achieve the targets of venture capital, but still are very successful and are contributing a lot of value to the economy and to this country. Investing in VC is hard, though, and it really is. I'm going to go counterclockwise with this because I want to end on the last one to kind of tie in some recent events. But you see there, only 3% of VC dollars went to black and brown founders. In 2022, there were about $216 billion that went into venture capital. So you're talking about $500 million that went to black and brown founders. Only 1% of that went to black founders. Maybe half of that went to black female founders. So 0.5% of that. It is hard. It is difficult. I'm going to be here for the next 7 ENC conferences. There's another conference to talk about why that happens, but for now, you think about where those dollars are spent. 66% of them in the Silicon Valley metro area, New York, and Boston. That's only 10% of the country. So 10% of the country is getting 66% of that $200 billion. It's geographically concentrated. It's gender concentrated, it's racially concentrated. And you talk about 2% of VC dollars that go to women founders. Again, statistically, we just saw earlier 46%, in North Carolina, 46% of business owners are women, 47%. So 2% versus 47%. And again, for black women founders, that's under 1%, it's probably closer to 0.5, 0.4%. But nevertheless, Edward Blum, who's with the American Alliance for Equal Rights, is suing a venture capital fund that was giving grants to black women founders. And quite honestly, I'm just confused. It's like, is 99.5% like not enough? It's like, I don't understand. I don't understand where it stops. I think the answer is 0. And so we have some challenges out there for us to think about how this, not just this industry, because these things spread out. When you think about what's happening with venture capital, the impact that just one of those founders could have on being the next Facebook, the next Apple. I mean, except the returns that come from success are great. And we just can't continue, for the sake of this country, to ignore and undercapitalize 67% of the population. It's just not going to work for anybody. And by the time we realize that it's not working, we all will be operating under the United States of China or something else like that. So if somebody's going to be in first. If it's not us, first is not going to be empty. And so for everyone who believes America first, let's make sure we invest in our people so that we can stay where we belong. But anyway, with all this, venture capital is hard, but I'm sitting here in front of a group of entrepreneurs, and another way of saying hard is Tuesday, right? Every day is hard. We're all working, it's all hard. And if, really what I want to do today is just kind of talk about what it means to be in venture capital. I kind of personalize a little bit. How do you know if your company's right for venture capital? Could be described as what it takes to be in venture capital. But one of the things I want to do before that is just talk about the state of North Carolina. North Carolina is now in the top 10 states for VC funding as of 2022. So congratulations to you all there. Yep. Almost $5 billion went into venture funding in North Carolina. So things are changing, the wave is coming. A lot of it has to do with the work that's been steady and going for quite a while to build up the triangle with the healthcare area. There's some tech companies. We have Epic Games here, which is a really big winner. You have Red Hat, which is a tech company. I'm sure you know of others. Our fund even invested into a small company in Durham, North Carolina, in her site, a woman-led company. So the tide is turning and it's slowly moving there, but it's not moving fast enough, and there's still a lot of work to do, and the gap still exists. And I think about someone, I think earlier mentioned Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It was no high. Rocky Mount, North Carolina. No high-speed internet, no venture capital. It's just, and so that's not raised. That's not nothing. I mean, there's some basic things that you need to bring this industry to town. You need venture capital. You need angel investors. You need an ecosystem. You need rooms like this. So you have the room, you have the people, you have the intent. There's just a little bit of the infrastructure that's needed to get things going. But again, back to the slide, you don't care about any of that. You want to do this thing, right? And I understand that. And I love venture capital, so I'm going to cheer you on. As I said, it's a different challenge. A lot of venture capital is relationship driven. And because of that, and no one wants to say no to someone that they didn't want them to say yes to in the future, because at its core, as a VC, I'm asking you to sell me a part of your baby, right? And that's the other thing to remember. Like, in the more valuable your baby is, the less I want to be on the bad side of you. Because if you become one of those top 7 companies, I want to be on that ride, because there's plenty of room on that train for everybody. Let me tell you. You think about Apple just passing $3 trillion. I don't know. I mean, 1% of that is what, 300 billion, something like that? 30 billion? I'll take that. I can do that. So feedback becomes really, really hard. It's hard to know when you're going to venture capital. That's one of the reasons why it's opaque. But the challenge with no feedback is no growth. If people don't tell you why you don't fit, what they're looking for, what they need, how they operate, you can't learn. And if you don't have the networks to teach you, you can't learn. And so you fall behind. And so over the years, looking at more companies than I can count, more conversations than I can remember, I start to think about how to simplify what I can share with people to help them understand what it means to go talk to a venture capitalist, and what are they looking for, and what do they ask. And I've just kind of narrowed it down to really 4 questions. VCs only ask 4 questions. They ask them 1,000 different ways, 100 different times, and it's all until they get comfortable with the answer that they know. And it's very simply, do I like you? Do you know what you're doing? Do I know what you're doing? And can you make me a lot of money? Now, spoiler alert, for a lot of people, if you can answer number 4, they'll kind of figure out 1 through 3. they'll make 1 through. It's horrible, but it's human nature, but it's real, right? People see money and all kinds of weird things happen. But just briefly talk about these 4, and then I'll let you get back to your food. Do I like you? And these have kind of 2 parts to it. Do I like you is very much, yes, you're back in middle school, and it's like, do I like you? Do I like you? Like you. The average venture capital fund lasts longer than the average marriage. And so when you take the VC dollars, you better like them, right? Because you're going to be together, and it's harder to get out of a VC investment than it is a marriage, like not even close, right? And so you're stuck, you're in it. There needs to be some sort of relationship and some sort of connection. And so as you're talking to a venture capitalist, that's one of the things they're trying to do. Often it happens organically, the other people do it more structured. But they're trying to figure out, can they work with you for the next decade in a very constructive way? The other part of do I like you is venture capitalists get their money from other folks. They go to those folks and say, hey, give me some money to invest on your behalf. I'm going to do X with that money. Because if a person says, well, what are you going to do with the money? They say, I'm going to do X. They're held accountable to that X, which is their investment thesis. But they get to choose their thesis. They go and decide it and sell it, just like you chose which business you wanted to be in and went to it. Part of liking you is how well do you match my thesis, right? If I think that healthcare tech is the next big thing, and you come to them with a restaurant business, well, yeah, you're not. I don't like you because you're not doing what I'm doing. It's not good or bad. It's just not in it. A lot of entrepreneurs waste a lot of time talking to people who that's not what the VCs are looking for. And the odd part about it is most VCs say right on their website, this is what I'm looking for. Now, what happens is every now and then you hear about someone that has a restaurant, they got a tech investor. And you're like, well, they must do that. And it's like, no. That's his wife's cousin. What are you talking about? That's never going to happen for you. Or that person, is there something there that explains it? But they're, in that, or the person himself that's in a tech business is a lifelong restaurateur. And they're like, yeah, I can take a flyer on this because I know it so deeply and so intimately that I can do that. But it's going to people who aren't looking for you is just making a hard job impossible, right? And just sort of think about that. Do you know what you're doing? Quite frankly, this is the one that most entrepreneurs pass. There's two parts to this, and one of it is, like, are you a subject matter expertise? VCs see a lot of businesses, they talk to a lot of folks. You have to know more about what you're doing than they know about what you're doing, or it just won't work. Because most of them, well, there's no shortage of egos in venture capital. Most of them are willing to accept that the founder should know more about what that subject matter is than they should. The other part of it is like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to run a business? That one is not necessarily a deal breaker, but it is something that you need to be self-aware of. There are a lot of VCs that say, I understand how to run a business. I don't know if you're a specialist in whatever area it is, a medical device or whatever, you understand the details, the science behind it. Great, awesome. Not sure that means you know the difference between a debit and a credit. And I do, and I can tell you, you don't have to. Like you can outsource that stuff. The stuff that you know is the stuff that you need to know, but you do need to understand, and you need to be honest about the fact that you don't know a debit from a credit. Because if you tell me you do and I start treating you like you do, there's going to be problems. And so this is where the relationship kind of comes in, is being self-aware what you're good at and promoting what you're good at, and being self-aware about where you need help. And that's where that, going back to that number one, that relationship comes back. Because I'm looking for someone who's great at something and needs help in areas where I'm great. So it's 1 + 1 is 3. So that's how it works. So it's about making that match. Do I know what you're doing? This is where the ego comes in. VCs don't necessarily like to admit that they don't know what they're doing. And this is the one where you have to check them out. I say, I'm talking about the VC. It's like, if you come to me with a great idea and I don't understand it at all, I'm going to give you bad advice. I'm going to put you in the wrong direction. I'm going to introduce you to the wrong people. I'm just going to be a drag on your business, right? And you can't get rid of me because we're married for 10 years. No divorce court, right? And so you're stuck. So you want to make sure that that VC understands what you're doing. Once again, it flips. I need to come to you and say, look, I don't understand what you're doing, but I do understand business. So they hit the business side also. Like, if you can handle that part, I can handle this part. If I can do this well enough, maybe you're willing to teach me a little bit about what you do, enough so that I can not get in the way, right? So my goal there is just to get out of the way and not be a barrier. The last one, VC, again, go big or go home. I give you $1. I need to get $10 back. I need to 10x. And that's me and all the other VCs that are lined up. We all want $10 back. Mainly because I'm going to lose $7 of that, so I need to net 3, and that's what my investors are looking for. But every single one I need to go and believe in, I can get that type of return. But also on that money is that, can I pay a price today that'll do that? And so this is where the imbalance that you see comes in. Everyone kind of generally understands it takes a lot of money to change the world, right? So you just can't do that in some way. And so you're looking for those great ideas, and you are willing to put that money in it, because if we're going to be together for 10 years, we should do something great while we're together, right? And I'm going to fund greatness, and greatness is not cheap, right? And so that is ultimately what's happening with the imbalances that you see. The more imbalance, the more likely someone believes that that number is even bigger. So you can say, hey, someone invested $300 million in an idea. Well, they must think that idea is worth $30 billion, because if I invest $300 million and it turns into $30 billion, I can figure it out, right? I can figure the rest out. So that's where we are with that. And then ultimately, what I'm hoping to do kind of with these questions is really just from the beginning, at lunchtime fashion, I see the food coming out, so I got to speed up my talk. But to kind of demystify venture capital a little bit, give you a framework for when you think about your business. Is your business the kind that you believe you can grow it to $100 million or more in 5 years? Don't worry about the money part. We'll take care of that. If you can do that, we'll take care of the money part. Like, can you create something? Do you have an idea where someone will recognize your company just by the logo? That's what venture capital is about. It's not for everyone. It shouldn't be for everyone. There are tons of successful businesses out there. Venture capital is the only business. If anyone out here, and I'm sure many of you are here, you have a $10 million business. You're growing 20% a year. You're making a few $1 million in profit. You are a success to every single industry, every single lender, every single kind of funder in the world, except venture capital. That's just not interesting. So the bar is just high. So if you want to have a big idea, you want to grow it fast, and you believe that you can execute on it, you will find the dollars to help you make that come true. And the beauty is, it's okay if you don't make it. Just go big or go home, right? The bigs will take care of the ones that go home. And so with that, I'd like to end. My name is Olin Douglas, Hanover Street Advisors. That is a picture of the Hanover Street Bridge. The backdrop is Baltimore, and a quick little story about this. On the other side of that bridge is where I grew up. It's a small town called Cherry Hill. The median income is $22,000 a year. So we were there. You look over this bridge, and there's like the glory of Baltimore. 3 miles away, it could have been 100 miles for all that mattered for us living there. Part of Hanover Street Advisors is to help people bridge that gap from where they are to where they could be. Thank you very much.
Wow. I don't know about you all, but I feel educated. That was very good. You did an excellent job of breaking down something very complicated in a short window of time. So, we do want to give you something as a token of our appreciation. And we just love what you have shared with us, and we want to continue. So we're going to talk some more. So thank you, Olin. Thank you so much. So we're still going to be eating. I know they're still serving. We still have time. So we're going to continue to eat for a little bit more, and then I'll come back shortly with some housekeeping, and then we'll continue our day. All right, so y'all continue to enjoy your food. Even though I'm on the clock, I am still having a great time, and I hope that you all are. What we did realize is that we didn't give any Q&A opportunity for Mr. Douglas, and we won't do it right now, but I will tell you this much, that he will be here until sometime tomorrow. So you just have to snag him. That's going to be your sweat equity into the situation. So I also want to know, just again, a little trivia. I'm just wondering who traveled the furthest to get here. Now, I'm not sure how we're going to do this. Anybody here from California? Somebody said, oh, well, there you have it. I'm sure there's nobody, unless you came from out the country, who came from out the country? Ooh, all right. Well, then she wins. Well, thank you so much, because that gives really the basis and reality of being national. So we want to make sure that our reach gets further and further and further. I do want to give another round of applause to Olin Douglas, because he brought a lot of wealth and of information to us. For sure. So who remembered the 4 questions that we have to answer? What's number 1? Do you like me? Not just like me, because you can like me and keep it moving. But if you like me, you're going to stick around. Question number 2. Do you know what? Great question. Do you know what you're doing? right? What's the third one? Do I know? You might know, but you better be able to explain it to me, you know, to the person with the money. If we don't understand, I'm saying we. If we don't understand what you're doing, I promise you we won't give you the money. But we want to be able to do that. And what's the fourth one? Can you make me a lot of money? Y'all did good. Excellent, excellent. So now, what is the desire in terms of return that a VC wants? 10x. We're going to reach for 10x, but I also heard Olin say, if we get 3x, it's still a good day. For those who are in baseball, 3 out of 10 is great. So we want to make sure that y'all remember that. But, you know, and this other thing, just, you know, with your businesses, don't count yourself out. You just got to have that one idea and that one VC to invest, and you could potentially be well on your way. So I see Kevin. He may have some comments to ask. So what I did find out, Kevin, is that probably half the room is here for the first time, and we have someone. When I asked who came the furthest, we have someone from out of the country. What country did you come from? Tanzania. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to close us out. We do have some housekeeping that I'll let you do, Kevin, since you're going to be the last one to speak. But so I thank you all for your time and attention. I hope you enjoy this dessert because it's wonderful. All right, Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. How was lunch? So first, let me thank Olin for coming. He's been really flexible. We changed his days, and he was like, no problem. And then we talked a little earlier today and learned a little bit more about what he's going to talk about. You incorporated some of that, so thank you for being flexible and sharing some wisdom with us. Did you all get some good nuggets from what he was talking about? So as we think about creative ways of financing our businesses, we're going to keep bringing this to you so you can think through what's best for my company, what's best for us long term to be stable, but also to thrive. So I hope you'll keep coming back because you're going to see something different every time. Now, let me say a couple more things. We have a few more elected officials in the House. Any elected officials in the audience, would y'all stand? Commissioner Burns, I see you. Anyone else? Mayor? I know how y'all like to slide in and just say hello and then slide right back out. But they need to know who you all are. These are the folks who are advocating. When I go to the General Assembly or I go to county government or city government and I see familiar, friendly faces, y'all know what I'm saying? Sometimes the room gets lonely. So when I see someone who's familiar and friendly too, that's a good day. We've done a lot with the General Assembly. You all know we received $2 million last year from the Republican-led General Assembly. They did that because they saw value in what we're doing with the Learning Lab. We're being very intentional about engaging college students. College students. Many of us in here are north of 40. Y'all don't have to raise your hand or anything. Y'all know who you are. I hope what you all are thinking about, for those of you who are business owners, is succession planning for your company. Succession planning for your company. That does not mean I'm going to give my company to my kid. That is not succession planning. That is suicidal. I know as a banker, way too many businesses I used to bank that gave their kid their business and their greeters at Walmart. I'm putting that lightly. I need y'all to really think through what legacy means. It's better for you to sell your business and then you got the money, and then if they break the business, at least you still retired. Hello? I'm just telling y'all what I see. Part of what this is about is how we bring more people to us who have some knowledge that we need. Maybe not right now, but in 10 years, that'll come back to you of what was said here, especially since we've been doing this since 1984. And a lot of you have been with us a long time, a lot of that ride. So we'll continue to be progressive and think through what's next. What hit me this morning was the next big thing seems to be AI. There's going to be a clone for all of us. We're just going to be sitting on the couch at home and have our clone sitting here eating lunch. Then you can say whatever you want to say. You can wear whatever you want. You're just sitting at home. But what does AI mean for diversity, equity, and inclusion? What does that mean for diverse businesses? Where's the opportunity for us to engage and to grow our business? Is there a play there? I have no idea, but we might need to explore that. What I don't like is for us to be on the tail end after all the deals have been cut, everything's been done, and then 10 years later, here we come talking about, let's talk about this. And they're like, oh, y'all are so late. Sarah, when you were talking earlier this morning, you were talking about how we were already talking about digital equity long before it was really a thing. We have to stay on the cutting edge. That doesn't always have to come from us, though, y'all. Y'all know many of the staff members of the Institute's email addresses. Y'all have ideas, let us know. We want to make sure you're getting the best out of this conference possible. So if there's something we all need to know, let us know so we can put that on the agenda next year. Now, we think we have a great agenda this year. We think we brought some dynamic speakers to you, innovative speakers to you to make you think. My pastor in Charlotte likes to say, I'm not here just to preach to you. I need you to think. We're not just going to hoop and holler in here. We need to really think. That's what this is about. All right, I'm getting off my soapboxes. I felt myself getting ready to pull out my trustee hat and pass the plate a little bit. Let me see. Housekeeping things, that's what Roberta asked me to do 10 minutes ago. We are about to do the ribbon cutting for the Business Expo. That's at 2 o'clock downstairs. You all are welcome to be there. I hope you all will jam downstairs and be a part of that. Secretary Michelle Sanders, who's doing an amazing job as the first African-American woman Secretary of Commerce of North Carolina. She makes me proud every time I see a new company moving to North Carolina, but she had a hand in it. This is what we can do. This is what we can do. So I hope you all will join us downstairs for that. Speed networking will begin at 3 o'clock. There is a help desk if you all need help. I am supposed to announce concurrent sessions that will begin at 3 o'clock as well. So we got another round of sessions this afternoon. And then this evening, the other tradition, there are a couple traditions we've always had as long as I've been coming to these in the 90s. The first night was the networking laid-back reception, where generally you will wear your college paraphernalia. For those of you who are Greek, you can wear your Greek stuff. For those of you who just love the Steelers, anything else doesn't matter. If you want to wear your Steelers stuff, I applaud you for doing that. The rest of y'all, I'm so sorry. But it's all about that camaraderie, being relaxed this afternoon, but networking. That's really the key for this evening. And then we're going to hit it hard again in the morning. So don't stay up too late, because I need y'all here early, bright and early tomorrow, ready to engage, okay? So we've got now a little less than 10 minutes for y'all to clear the room so they can clear all of this out, and we'll be downstairs for the ribbon cutting at 2 o'clock. Everybody clear? All right. Thank you all. Welcome to our Business Expo. This is our second year of hosting a Business Expo to connect minority and women-owned businesses with corporations who are looking for you, who want you to be a part of their supply chain. It's important that we not only recruit businesses to North Carolina, but we also strengthen the ones that are here. Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
We have to strengthen the ones that are here. That creates jobs as well. And so both of those working together is what will make North Carolina even more of a powerhouse. And so I'm excited about the expo, but I'm really excited to introduce you all to Secretary Michelle Sanders. I got to know her even before I knew how bad this sister is. She has 2 daughters that I think a lot of, and I happen to have a son the same age. I think she do too. We happen to have her cousin's wife is best friends with my wife. And so when we first saw this potential connection, Michelle, I said, Zachary, you need to go over there and talk to that girl. He said, which one? I said, I don't care. But they've gone on to do great stuff, and I knew they were from good stuff. Knowing Secretary Sanders, and then watching her career, the short amount of time I've seen her work as Secretary of Administration. She is the one who actually helped us kick off Retool ENC. She is the one. And so for her to help us put that in place and then head over to Commerce and just do amazing things for the state, attracting an unbelievable number of businesses that have created more jobs in North Carolina is incredible. And so, welcome Secretary Michelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, our children bumped into each other. Yeah, so we'll see where that ends up. I see Kevin's wife out there. We'll see how that ends up with the Rices and Sanders. Thank you for the introduction, and I appreciate all of you being here today for this special occasion. Anytime that we can lift up our small minority-owned businesses, which have such a direct impact on our community, on our families, on our lives and livelihood, I think it is a great time to celebrate. And that's what this ribbon cutting and opening is about today. It's also about the vision and the mission of the Institute, and the vision and mission that has been in place for such a long time and has brought this state a lot of achievements, a lot of pathways for many people, and frankly, has put food on many tables and in many people's mouths, if you will, across this state and beyond. So it's a great opportunity. So yes, we've had a lot of success in the state, in the economic development space. The primary reason for it, well, first of all, let me just thank you all for helping us have that achievement of attracting companies and jobs to our state, and for being voted a second year as the best state in the nation to do business. So give yourself granted, and it surely isn't easy, and it comes from the hard work of many people before me, along with all the people in the state who worked so hard, and recognition of our greatest asset. And you guys know our greatest asset, because if you met me or you had a conversation with me, hopefully you got to know a little bit about my value system. So the state's greatest asset is what? People. That's our greatest asset. 99% of the time, people give me energy. Probably 99.5%. Then there's that 0.5% where I'm like, okay, that's about enough. But it's because of our people that we have been recognized as the greatest state to do business in the nation, because of the diverse, skilled talent pool and the hard work of many people. So we've had many successes. In 21, we had record-breaking year in economic development, announcing 181 expansions and over 29,000 jobs and over $19 billion of capital investment. We announced companies like Eli Lilly, VinFast. I was just talking about VinFast and how that's going to really shape and change the Pittsburgh area. Toyota, and many other companies. I'm also very thrilled about the announcements, the expansions, and the locations in rural North Carolina. You also know that I am from a rural town in North Carolina, Belhaven, North Carolina. Woo-hoo! I'm glad to hear that this year. Shout out to Belhaven. Belhaven, North Carolina. So not only do I advocate, and I'm a fierce advocate for rural North Carolina, but I understand the unique challenges that we face in rural North Carolina, and recognize that when it's 10 jobs versus 5,000 or so like VinFast, or whether it's 100 jobs like the 3,000 of Toyota, that every job matters. Every job matters to the community. In 2022, 99% of our businesses in the state were recognized as small businesses and employed 1.7 million people. Small businesses greatly contribute to the state's exports, with over 9,000 small business firms, accounting firms, accounting for 21% of those small businesses. And in North Carolina, that's $20 billion in exports from our small businesses. Now, our historically underutilized businesses and firms, or hubs, which includes minority and women-owned firms, make up nearly 60% of our businesses in North Carolina. So indeed, there's a key role and major contributions made by our small, minority, and women-owned businesses. I'm proud to say that last year in commerce, we had the highest spend in 15 years of $3.3 million. Now, I recognize that that is a very small piece of the pie, but it is a piece of the pie, and it is greater than the previous 15 years. And so I'm proud of the work and the intentional actions that we put forward to make sure that we are being inclusive in the benefit of working and doing business with the state. And so that's an acknowledgement that I'm pleased about. I know Hub team members are here today. I saw OCR here today represented. And so those were my team members that I worked so closely with prior to this commerce job. But I now, from a different seat, understand even more the importance of the work that these entities do. The importance of what it means to create generational wealth, hopefully, for many small business owners and for families across the state. It's great to see the job numbers, but you guys also know that we need to develop and build capacity so that these jobs can be filled. Workforce development is not just for large companies. Workforce development is for all of our companies and entities in North Carolina. And I believe when we build capacity and when we grow our small businesses and have workforce development that's robust, we're also creating an entrepreneur spirit and may even have other entrepreneurs who develop from that experience in a small business. Entrepreneurship, innovation, and small businesses are the heart and blood of our economy here in North Carolina. 2020, more businesses were started by Black Americans than in the previous 25 years. There was a lot of devastating and bad things, including the loss of people during the pandemic. But there was also a lot of good things, a lot of blessings that took place in that storm, if you will. And I believe that seeing more Black Americans start to be successful in businesses and build their businesses is one of those good things that happened during the pandemic. So I'm expecting and hoping that this will continue to grow. And with the ceremony we have here today, I believe that this is going to enable even more small Black American-owned businesses to do what is out there for us all to do and what some think is impossible. I think it's going to open opportunities for more people, more minorities, women-owned businesses. And for too long, for way too long, people who look like me, from places like me, that 252 area code, that 27810 zip code, have been left behind. But now is the time where not only should we be stronger and more resilient, but we should be more confident in what's possible. Because I just gave you some numbers of what we did at the height of the pandemic. So imagine what is possible for us to do today when things are so much better, so much better. And so looking forward to that growth. The Department of Commerce has services, as you know, that we offer to small businesses and that we offer communities. And it starts with our Rural Economic Development Division, who offers services. We have ENC Works, our Navigator portal. We also have a small business work-based learning grant initiative, on-the-job training, and we partner with workforce boards across the state, helping and hopefully launching greater talent for the businesses. And it is important that our workforce development matches our business needs. If it doesn't match the business needs, we end up with a gap, which we are grappling with, I think, now. And it's harder to fill those jobs. So that's very important for us to meet the business needs. I want to also mention our First in Talent plan. The First in Talent plan can be found on our Commerce website. It is the state's strategic economic development plan. And I want to emphasize states, it's not Commerce's plan. So we launched that plan, and we launched that plan based on listening sessions, as well as work from UNC government, School of Government, and some other entities. And when I started, the plan was almost completed, but it was at a time, as I mentioned, height of pandemic when I started, and there was one piece that I felt was missing that we needed to rework and make sure that we were including and that we were being intentional about it. And that was diversity, equity, and inclusion, which some would say today, let's let that go by the wayside, but we're not going to do that. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important in how we work, and who we serve, and how we get things done. It's also important because we are here to serve the over 10.5 million residents of the state, not some people in the state, but everyone in the state. And so it only makes sense that we would be inclusive. It only makes sense that we would work in a way to bring about greater equity in our communities, in the workplace, and in the homes. And it only makes sense that we would find value in diversity, recognizing that difference is good. And that it also brings about innovation, entrepreneurship, and it's a recognition that all of us bring something different and good to the table. Because there's nobody else in the world like any individual of us. There are people that are similar, but no one just like you. And so there's space and there's a place for everyone to contribute. And so I'd like to invite you to check out our First in Talent plan and become you are a stakeholder, but help us in executing on that. We had a First in Talent town hall last week with many of our stakeholders, which included teachers, child care center owners, as well as administrators. And so the plan is out there to partner so that we can win this war, if you will, on talent, and so that North Carolina can remain the best place to do business, can remain a place of opportunity for all people, and be welcoming to all people and their business ideas. And most importantly, that we can put forward an economy that works for everyone. And so you'll find that that plan includes reaching out to employ, to train, and to include people with previous justice records, people with disabilities, people in fields where people are underrepresented, like STEM, where I came from, where people that look like me were underrepresented and remain that way today. You know, it's really about bringing about the prosperity that we all talk about and that we want to experience to everyone. So the ceremony we're having today is another way of doing that. Another way of opening doors for business owners. Another way of building the capacity and capabilities that are going to lead to outcomes, hopefully, that we haven't even imagined yet. And I know that that is possible because we have business owners here. I was just talking to a couple in the back, especially the one that had clothes over there. It kind of caught my attention, so I had to check it out. And jewelry and glasses and all that. So those types of attention getters can open the door and can open the hearts and the pocketbooks of many people, many businesses, people with authority, people without authority. It can open the hearts and minds of everyone, I believe. And so with that said, I want to thank each of you for being here. Thank you for your continued collaboration with our agency. And thank you, Kevin, for your continued leadership and the great work that's being done. You know, I've been introduced to working with the Institute from working at DOA and have seen the Institute do great work that some didn't think could be done, right? Like Retool ENC, Alicia. People that thought that it couldn't be done. People that questioned, why do we need that money for that select group of people? Those business owners. Why not include it with another item, budget item? And who's going to manage it? How is it going to be successful? How are we going to hold it accountable? You guys know how the questioning goes. But God, baby. Yeah. It happened. It continues to happen because of you guys' great leadership and the collaboration. And because of that, I believe that this is an unstoppable moment for small minority and women business owners. And I look forward to greater success, look forward to being a part of job announcements from some small business owners. Can't know everything that's going on in the state. I know about that much what's going on. But if you guys let me know, I would be glad to be present and acknowledge and recognize your businesses for the great work that you do in the state and in the community. So thank you all for what you're doing, and thank you for your continued leadership, your support, and for your love of the state. And because you love the state, continue to lift your voices, continue to put your businesses out there, and continue to be the shining stars that you guys have been for quite a long time. Way back from when Miss Harris, I guess, right? When Miss Andrea Harris was doing this thing that some found probably kind of odd and different. And look what it has flourished to. So thank you all very much and have a great day. And thank you, Kevin, for the opportunity.